Welcome everybody back to another episode of Preston's monthly reviews, and it's January. Well, it's January's review anyway, 2026. Got a couple of things I want to run with you guys at the moment, and the first thing is I've decided to change the name, being beginning of the new year. I'm going to be calling this Preston's Movavi Preston's Touching Base, where obviously it's going to focus on a bit more of a generic sort of like talking to each other and catching up on different bits and pieces, rather than specifically just about the channel. So about my life a little bit, about the channel, things that are coming, etc. All sorts of different bits and pieces, and even include something maybe bits about the real world, events going on, etc. But obviously being careful that we don't include certain things that you're not supposed to talk about, etc. But it's all developing and expanding the current Preston's monthly reviews into something a bit more generic that people can relate to. So the first things we've got to look at is the beginning of a new year, back at work. Obviously now I'm not on holiday anymore. I've got to continue going back to work, which is good and bad in its own right. I'd love to be a lottery winner, win millions of pounds, not go to work, but I like my job. It's pretty good, and I can't complain too much. But nevertheless, it's back to normal business as usual. Right, okay, so let's have a look what's next. So yeah, touching base is the new title of what I'll be doing. So it will generally be the same sort of time to end of the month sort of situation, or beginning of the next month, like February, or end of the month or beginning of the month, just to give you feedback about that current month. Like this will be January, and of course consider it's February now, this is January's kind of touching base. It's a bit late, but I've been busy because obviously I work shifts, so I can't always get the videos out when I want to get them, or do them when I need to get them. Now you may have noticed there's a slight change in the camera view. I obviously have moved my camera slightly over to a little bit, because a couple of people have said to me that try having your camera at a little bit of an angle rather than directly head on, and sometimes this can actually be better. I don't know why, but I've been told in a little bit it can be better. So let me know what you think. Do you think this is actually better to have it this way? Even to the point, for example, I might be too far away. So there's a few things I want to play with and have a little experiment, and this is one of them. I actually had it originally a little bit over more out of the way, so it was actually looking a bit more side on, but I thought I'd just try something a bit more neutral, a little bit halfway between being straight on and over a bit more to the side. So obviously I can go to the other side maybe and see other parts of my room, but I thought this one was a bit okay. It just seemed to look okay, but you let me know in the comments what you think, if you think this is okay, or you prefer it straight on. Maybe you prefer looking at me straight on. Let me know what you think. Right, so a couple of things, as I don't want to take up too much of your time, is the podcast updates. Now, I really wanted to get the live podcast going this in January, but I've had to, a lot of paperwork was involved. I've had to get the legal side of it, get the paperwork all done, and organising a lot of people from different countries is quite difficult. And everybody got the guests are all sorted, they're all interested. I'll be sending the paperwork out to them to get them sorted once they've signed it, and then we'll go from there and we'll arrange it. And I'm hoping now it's going to be done in February, so at some point in later this month we'll have the first ever live podcast of the Movavi Preston's ground level podcast, which last time I did this, I mentioned it to you, and the first episode is is going to be about mental health. It's about generic ground level about mental health, and I've got people from Germany, hopefully potentially Turkey, and I've got a guy in Canada. We're all scattered across the planet, so there's everyone's got a different story to tell, and it's going to be really interesting, and I'm hoping it'll be really good, and we'll be doing it live, and I will be announcing when it's all sorted and everything's done. I will be announcing the date or when it will plan to do it, and hoping you guys will tune in. So that's really, really good, and it's going to be really, really, I look forward to it. I look forward to it. I want to go into this sort of ground, or this sort of level. I want to really explore and experiment about podcasts, and I want to be able to share with you guys about not necessarily the top end of the spectrum as such, about like mental health professionals, PhDs or doctors, and that. This is about the people that are actually on the ground level, like us working people. Most of us are working people. We're not like the top 1%. So this podcast is about what affects us at the ground level. So mental health is the first episode. So I look forward to seeing where we go with that. Right, here's an update for you. So motorbike training. As you all know, I'm learning to ride a motorbike, and by now technically I should be completely fully qualified and everything should be fine. And I tried my mod 1 again, and I nailed the U-turn, which I've been struggling on, to only reach the very last stretch of the test and got thrown off the bike. I'm okay. I didn't do any major damage. Damaged my gear a little bit, but you know, I'm okay. I'm fine myself, and yeah, I'm gutted again. So gutted again. But to be fair, with the guys that are watching said it was spectacular. It was spectacular, and I did it on the avoidance test, the avoidance test, where I don't know if you're watching in the UK, where you have obviously a straight run, you have to do 50 kilometers per hour, and then you go for a speed trap, and then you let off the throttle, and you go round these cones, and it didn't feel quite right a little bit when I did it, but I hit the speed limit when I asked the examiner how fast I was going. He said 50 kph, exactly what you're required to do. And as I went round, and I come back again to straighten up, I applied the brakes, and all of a sudden the bike just kicked me off. Now, I did a Superman across the floor, literally. I can't even remember what actually happened. All I remember was on the bike, and all of a sudden I went over, and the bike was in front of me, sliding, and I was Supermaning on the floor. Yeah, and I got up, and you know, I was okay. Obviously, my right hand side of my body hurts. I've got a bit of pain here, hit there, my hip, my leg. But when I started speaking to the guys about it, there's a bit of an amalgamation of different things were happening. One of them was that it was really wet day. It was raining. It was quite a wet day, which didn't help. My instructor kind of said that I kind of panicked a little bit. I think I angled on the front brake a little bit. I don't actually remember holding the front brake, but when he said to me that was the case, I do remember that I did apply the front and the rear both quite evenly to try and slow down, which in my head was the correct thing to do in the wet, and I don't really think I was turning, but I might have been, because it happened so fast. I don't really recall exactly what happened. But one of the guys said to me that when I come round to the evasion, that the bike skidded. It just, because I think it was probably wet, it moved a little bit, and I think maybe it fishtailed. And then obviously as I did the manoeuvre and it was fishtailing a little bit, when I applied the brakes, the stability was gone and it launched me up into the air, you know. That was a good 30 miles an hour, probably 20-30 miles an hour, so it felt quite quick. So unfortunately, it caused a fail, even though I nailed everything else. I did everything else perfectly fine. So, oh yeah, disappointing nonetheless. So I've got a couple of options I've been thinking about, and one of them was maybe I'm going to do the training again. I've asked to do it again, and my instructor, he's going to put me in again, and I've actually asked maybe to do the Mod 1 training bit before the Mod 1 test again, just to get myself familiar, because I don't actually own a bike myself at the moment. I'm waiting to pass the whole DAS course. If not from the UK, we have a thing called DAS, which is you go from having nothing to a full license in a set period of time through training and doing your tests, which I've paid for, which I've done. The problem is that because I've had a couple of problems with the Mod 1 I've had to retake it a few times, which is delaying my Mod 2 test. And I don't actually own a bike. I've never ridden a bike apart from having the tests. So you could say it's an experience, it's a skill issue. It's potentially a skill issue. So I have had a couple of ideas in my head, and I'll just see what you think. I've had mixed opinions from different people. So one of the things that people said is to continue to do it, and when you pass your test, you get your full license for it, is to get a bigger bike and then get used to it and chill, get on with it. You know, just don't go crazy, but you know, you get a big bike, you get used to it, and it's actually better. One of the other options is to get a 125. I've done the CBT, I've done all that, is to actually get a 125. I've looked at a couple of Super Sports 125s. They look the part, they look cool, but they're 125s. They're not exactly going to be super quick, and I don't really need to be super quick, to be fair. Not that I want to go 130 miles an hour on the road, not really. But just to get the riding experience is to get a 125 for now, and then keep applying for my test, and then when I pass, obviously the L plate's going to come off the 125, and I can keep the 125. But luckily for me, on one aspect of this is my lad. He's going to be 16 soon, and he wants to learn to ride a motorbike. So potentially what could happen is he could get a scooter, 50cc, because that's what you're allowed at 16 years old. And then when he turns 17, I believe, I'm going to have to check this, but I believe he can get a 125. So the thought process was he's going to be 15 quite soon. So if I have a bike for over 2 years, get a bike for a couple of years, a 125, I can then build up a lot of confidence on the bike, riding, etc. And that it's not going to go. It's going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot lighter than, I'd say, the 800, which I'm on, because the test bikes that we were on was the Suzuki 800 8S. It's a fantastic bike, a brilliant bike, and the bike was okay. I mean, it had these crash, I don't know what they're called, crash pins on either side, made of solid rubber, so when the bike went over, it ground on the pin, and the bike itself, chassis, was perfectly fine. It was just this pin that was quite, for that speed, in all honesty, it was quite eroded, to be fair, but I had to actually get myself a 125 and use that. I know I can't go any motorways or anything, not that I'm going to use it for motorways, but essentially I can use that bike for now to go to A to B and get some riding experience. So there's a couple of elements there that I'm looking at, because I want to get on the road. I mean, it's February now, and I want to be able to, in the springtime, to at least be able to get out with my friends and ride around, and maybe a 125 Super Sports might be an option. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Do I just hold off and persist and get my Mod 1 and Mod 2 out of the way and then get a bigger bike, or do you think I should get a 125 now and then still keep doing the test and then complete it? Then I can just see where I stand. But overall, I'm disappointed, but I'm okay. But one thing I will say about it is I'm actually quite glad that happened in a way, because experiencing a crash, experiencing coming off the bike, it's humbling. You know, you are vulnerable. You are very, very vulnerable. And like I said, I had all the armour on, I had everything, and yeah, my hip hurts. I got a bruise on my hip, or just about below my hip on the leg, but I'm okay. You know, and it's really important that when I see people ride around with no gear on, just a helmet, and they're in t-shirts and shorts, I'm thinking, what are you doing? You know, really, it's really, really bad. So, you know, if you do that, that's up to you, but I personally would recommend it. But I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep persistently going. I've got big plans to obviously get this done and go abroad and go on my tour and stuff like this. The way it's looking, although I found the CBT quite easy, I picked it up really, really quickly. This seems to be a bit of an issue for me at the moment. It might have to wait till next year. I might wait until next year to do this. So to get a year's worth of ride experience, maybe it'd be a better idea if I then do it next year. But if, you know, I got the 125, I do that, I can still go places. I can still do little rides around. Just got to be a bit careful where I pick where I'm going. And obviously if I do pass, then I can go anywhere I want to. And we'll see. Just watch this space. I'll keep you guys updated to let you know what's going on. Right, so one other thing to mention is AI. It's AI feedback. Now, as some of you may realise, that I've put AI content on my channel and on my social media, and I'm really delving into AI. And sadly, on the Big Bad Terry Tiger AI, it isn't that brilliant, don't get me wrong. It was just a bit of fun. It was just a bit of playing with the engine and trying to come up with different things. It got a lot of, I'm not going to use the word hate, but it got a lot of like AI slop, this is bad, blah blah blah, and I can understand. But I have got some really good stuff I've been making. I've got a Dragon Ball AI series or episode I've been focusing on, and it's taken me quite a long time to make. In fact, it might have to even be a case of one episode a month, because literally it's taken a long time to make. Again, it's not going to be as good as what they did in the cartoons that like from Dragon Ball Z, etc, etc, because they're obviously hand animated, and there is a lot of what's the word, consistency without throughout the whole thing. Where the AI things I've done, there are some minor little details that you can spot. They're not quite consistent with the previous scene, but I've tried my best to keep it as like a cartoon, the proper cartoons of Dragon Ball as possible. Even some of the fighting is a bit questionable, but I am experimenting with AI. I am starting to use it. Like I've got my nightclub that I was doing, that's a video for ladies dancing. I've got a Dragon Ball thing I'm doing, a couple of things like the lady on the bike, just experimenting with different things of AI, because AI is coming, and whether you accept it or not, whether you like it or not, is obviously up to you. But I'm not going to make my channel, my social media posts all about that, but I am going to start heavily including it, because I want to make mini films and mini clips, etc. with it, because people like watching different content. And I've had the Dragon Ball like they call them, that's a name for it, like previews that people have had, like sneak peeks, that's the one, sneak peeks people have had, I've let watch it. I've actually got some really good feedback. People have actually said it's quite good. So I will be making it, and I might even have a clip running in the background here somewhere, maybe, just to give you guys a sneak peek yourself of what's coming. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm enjoying making it, so it's really, really good. And, you know, if you're a fan of AI generation, that's great. More coming. If you're not, I respect that. And I can understand why AI is hated for what it is so much. And I don't know, I may have mentioned this before a long time ago, but I'll give you guys a quick rundown. Excuse me. A long time ago, there's an artist that I not know personally, but I spoke to a few times, and he writes comics. And he's an artist with a pen and paper, and he did his artistry, and he uses software. I think when he draws it, he colours it all in, etc. I'm not 200% how he does it, but when I mentioned to him that I was doing some AI, I just started doing some AI artwork and that to generate the similar images that I wanted to make, he actually didn't like it. He expressed quite poor taste for it. He didn't, it was going to ruin him. He said, "Oh, people do this and that, it's going to put me out of business." And he sold some of his artwork, and he sold some bits and pieces to make some money. And I think no matter what happens, really, you're never going to replace real artistry. Real artistry by people drawing is magic. It's an art, hence the word art. Where AI takes that away, it takes a lot of it away. I mean, it's not as accurate like the image I've got in my head of a character the AI has made. It literally is that close. It's so close to what I vision in my head this character looks like and is. It's unbelievable. And for an example, the Saiyan character I did for my Dragon Ball, the legendary Saiyan that I've done for this Dragon Ball thing I'm doing, it's pretty much as is. It is. She's from my head. The AI read my mind. But there are some instances I've made characters where I can't quite get it right, and that's all about prompts and engineering around it. But the artist I said to him, "Can you draw me an image of this character sat on this chair?" I think it's obviously it was Morrigan of Darkstalkers, and she was sat in a big fur coat, and she was sat on this skull throne, etc. She was sat there like, I'm boss. And he did a good job of it. It was a lovely picture. But I paid him for his service, and he released this picture to everybody else. Now, there's a bit of obviously 50-50 sort of opinion about this. I was under the impression if I paid him for this artwork for me, that it was exclusively for me, and he told me it's not. He's going to put it out to everybody else. Did some research on it, and it's not illegal. They could, because he owns a copyright, he can do that. And a lot of people turn to say, well, yep, he drew it, he can do what he wants. And yeah, I can see that point, and I sort of agree. But I was a bit gutted because I paid a lot of money for that, and I was like, well, I've paid you for that, for me to draw it for me, not for everybody else to get it for free. So there's a bit of a mixed opinion in terms of that. But when I started thinking to myself, well, I'm going to use AI to draw my own images, the AI got it wrong in a lot of cases. So you have to go through the prompts and teach the AI the images you like, and I must admit, I got some really good images, really things that I wanted, and it was bang on. Of course, I delved into it deeper. So the fact that a lot of people out there that are artists and do drawings and paintings, etc., and they create, and when people have access to AI, they can just literally do this on the phone or a computer, because I've got AI on my PC and on my phone, and literally can create what they want, it takes away business. And a lot of people hate it because it's just like it's skillless. You just let a computer do the work for you, and I can really appreciate that. I can really understand that perspective, and you can't take that away. But I understand why my AI, that video, has got a bit of hatred, because the quality isn't that great. It's funny. I thought it was just funny to upload, it was a joke, but it's, in order for AI to be really effective, it has to be good quality. You have to make it as best quality as possible. Having just slop, they call it AI slop, just put on the internet, obviously it's not good, and it just damages the reputation of AI quality and the quality of the AI videos that come out. But we all have to admit there's some AI videos that are really good. We have to be honest, there are some AI videos that are really, really good. And one of the videos I am watching at the moment that multiple people jumping on, and even I'm jumping on this bandwagon, is the Backrooms sort of AI, where you've got two doors, you've got a yellow, red door and a blue door, or door 1, door 2, and you said in there, guys, pick a door, and you pick a door, and you get like a really, really bad room where you go into, like, I don't know, carnivorous plants or something stupid like that, or you get a room where you get Hotel in the Sky, and you stay there and you're safe, no entities. I actually quite like that kind of stuff. That's quite cool. So I'm doing one myself. I'm trying to develop one, practice making this sort of thing, because it's quite popular, and I quite like experimenting with ideas and of the backroom sort of environments that I have in my head to share with you guys now. But I will be focused on that at some point. But I am experimenting at the moment. But at the moment, I'm using a lot of my AI power to generate and sort out this Dragon Ball stuff at the moment. So, but rolling it back a little bit, I can understand why we've got a lot of people hate AI. It's actually a lot more people hate it, I think, than I realised. I thought maybe a couple of people out of 10 maybe might hate it, but I think actually it's probably about 3 or 4 out of 10 people dislike AI. But I do think it's the future. At this moment in time where it's going, I think this is becoming a lot more powerful and more popular, and it's just going to grow. And I can see the pitfalls and the positives of it, where some film producers are not going to have cast and crew there to have AI, and the AI is going to be that clever and that powerful with all its resources. You can make a film in, I don't know, 10 minutes. You could say, I want Star Wars, but this happens. etc, etc, and it'll do a whole scene in front of you for you. And rather have glitches and mistakes, it'll do the same with the characters, with the spaceships, and whatever you're doing, you know, it'll just do it. So I can see the problems. But yeah, so if you like AI, stick around. I will be focusing on more AI, and hopefully I'll be producing better stuff to put out there. Even the gym stint I put a gym stint on there. I don't think it's on my YouTube, it's on my social media. About some, you know, if you go to the gym like me, you get you in a gym and you get some people that walk in front of you and they're right in your face and then they complain about being stared at, and you're like, well, what's going on? It's things like this, little real life kind of situations that these animal people will kind of react to, like Big Bad Terry Tiger and his friends and that, etc. But it's just a playful stage at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. If you don't like AI, don't worry, I'm not focused on it for everything. A lot of my channel will be games and other stuff as well, so it's not all strictly about AI, so don't worry too much. Right, obviously part of this touching base core thing is not strictly all about the channel. It's not strictly about the channel. It's about other things too, like say my motorbike training, etc. And that. Well, I don't know about how many of you out there are fathers and mothers, and parents, and you know, I'm a father of 2 children. Well, one's an adult now. Maybe, you know, you look at me and don't think I'm old enough to have an adult child, but I do. You know, whilst I'm not really releasing too much information about my private life, and especially about my children, etc., and that, I want to just touch base with you guys about, as a parent, how hard you can really try to have your kids to do well, and you want your kids to do well in school, and you know, no matter what you do, what you say, they just don't listen. And there's an element of it where you think, well, they're just growing up. They're teenagers and they're experiencing. They're becoming sexually active. They want to try different things, alcohol and substances, etc. And they're into like this network. Their social circles are really important, and education seems to take a bit of a back step. Now, there's a lot of people that I know. A couple of good friends of mine have had a really poor education. They've literally just done what they want, not gone to school, and they've actually ended up quite successful. They've got a good job, etc. But obviously, as parents, we look at it and we want our kids to do really well. We want to focus at school. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not supporting modern school, all of its curriculum. I think some of this new curriculum that's coming out, no, I think that should go in the bin. I'm not going to say it, but we all know what it is. But realistically, the education system should be concentrating on teaching our kids how to count, how to read and write, etc. And you know, the biology, chemistry, physics, the laws of the world. Even, you know, geography, etc. as well, the countries and the politics that exist around the world. But unfortunately, the education system has a serious habit of doing other stuff. But obviously, as our children, we worry about them. We want them to be the best people we can. And you know, I was born in the 80s. It's a clue for you how old I am. I was born in the 80s, and I had a very, you know, old school kind of upbringing, and I've turned out quite decently well. You know, I've done quite well in my life, and I'm a good person. And I've tried to teach my lad the same sort of situation where, you know, they're quite strict on him. He doesn't really get away with much. But you can't rule with an iron fist forever. You have to release them a little bit and let them experience and grow. The problem is that when you have a quite structured system at home, and you've got your kid under a bit of a leash, call it a tight leash is a term. When he goes to school, hangs on with certain other students and their friends, all of a sudden it's like, you know, I'm not going to say it every time, but predominantly, especially my experience and what I've looked up, where for children from single mother homes, their children seem to behave a lot more negatively and do more stupid things and do reckless things and ignore the education, and most of the time the kids that end up hanging around with these guys and befriend each other seem to adapt this sort of mentality. And my boy is one of them. Now, my boy's not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and sing my lad's songs and praise that he's perfect. He's not. He's a bright lad. He's a bright kid, and he really has a lot of potential, but he hangs around with people that really just, you know, I don't think are very good personally. And he's hurting in education. So, you know, what can you do? What can you do? There's he's mid-teenage years. There's not much you can do, and this is disappointing. So, why am I telling this? Or why am I kind of, you know, giving you sort of telling this information? Well, it's to kind of relate to the people out there like you that our parents are having this issue. It's something open for debate. One of the reasons about touching base is I want to engage people and have a debate with people. Like maybe at some point, you know, on the podcast and that we can have guests and people come on and they can, you know, maybe one of you guys out there can reach out and say, look, you know, I've got a lot to say about being a parent. I've got a lot of information I've learned, or a lot of experience. When that episode comes up, can I be on? And obviously I can't have thousands of people on, I can't have hundreds, I can't even have 10 people on a guest show. It's probably too much, but there could be opportunities in the future. Like for example, mental health, one of you guys may turn around and say, I've dealt with mental health. Maybe one of you guys are a medical professional. Not that I want necessarily a panel full of medical professionals, because it's about ground level, it's about on, you know, street level as such, with the issues that we face today. But there's no harm in, say, having somebody who, a guest has a lot of experience dealing with some of the mental health, and they can have a lot to say and contribute towards an episode. But it engages people to let people know that, you know, just because I'm behind the screen, etc., that I'm human and I have real life problems and I have real world problems just like you do up there. And I want to put a message out that I do think these days, especially with what's going on with my kid, isn't good. I'm not happy as a father the way especially in the UK, I think Europe and probably definitely America, definitely the States, the way the modern colleges and the campuses over there and what they're teaching them is absolutely mental. Absolutely mental. I've watched so many videos of the way these young people think, and I'm just like, really? And when you can't even name 3 countries and all this sort of stuff, you know, it's just, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. You can't even name 3 countries. Now, that's not everybody, of course, it's not everybody, but there's a lot of it where I've seen you just sat there, you're like, oh, yo, what are we teaching people? You know, it's like my lad's handwriting is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And he comes home and I ask him questions like, you know, who's Nelson? Who's Wellington with the UK? You know, and he's like, oh, I don't know. You've been taught history. Why are we being taught history and other stuff that's just not relevant? It's not relevant. You know, we should be talking about history, about, you know, who we are as a culture and who we are as a people. It's mental. Yeah, it's mental, and I'm just sharing that with you because I want you guys to understand that I am on your level, especially as parents, and it is incredibly frustrating. You know, it's frustrating as a parent when you tell them everything you know to make them do well, and they just don't. They just literally just don't. They just ignore you. And their friends, like 16, 17, 18 years old, barely born, and goes, oh, we think I should do this, and they follow him rather than you, and you've been alive for like nearly half a century. Absolutely crazy. And this is the sort of things I want to engage. It's also like when I do more reaction videos. I know I did one reaction video about this, I can't remember his name, is it Walsh? Matt Walsh. He went into a barber shop in America, and he was talking about this sort of racial tensions between, obviously, mostly whites and black people, whites and black. And, you know, when I reacted to that, obviously I'm one of these people that when I turn around and say something to you, I'm convicted in what I'm telling you. You know, I like to think I'm telling the truth. I'm convicted in the fact that when I say, I don't know, this holds a pair of glasses in, I know this holds a pair of glasses, or that's what it's designed for. You know, I'm not going to go and guess. I know this is what it's for. Can it be used for other stuff? Of course, but it's designed for that reason. And when obviously the things I've learned and things I've understood over the years, when I provide these statistics on the screen, it isn't to shame people. It's not to say, I'm not trying, you know, shame anybody or, you know, put people down. I'm just reinforcing when I say a comment about a particular culture or particular people or brands or whatever it is, that this is the evidence to support what I'm saying. So, but obviously I don't think that really is really good on the screen as such. I think probably it's something to redo, rethink how I do that. But I enjoy doing reaction videos, and this I want to make, maybe let me know in the comments what you think. These sort of touch and base can be a little bit of that. Maybe not a whole episode dedicated to it, but maybe we can, within like the hour's time frame that I have. I mean, I'm at this moment in time looking at my recording screen, I'm approaching half an hour. So certain things, like for example, I'm talking about my lad's behaviour and learning, and modern day children today learning and what they're not learning, can be a sort of like a reaction to that. But maybe put videos on there as well, clips that I find and see, maybe share those. So it's all about exploring and developing and evolving the channel. I think in a lot of cases, in order for a channel to grow, for order to continue to progress and get better and engage with you guys more, because, you know, there's a lot of cases where you have people that sub to your channel and they just, my good friend of mine, he's got a channel as well, and he's got several thousand subscribers as well, he turned around and said, I've got a lot of lurkers, people that have subbed to the channel but don't watch. And I'm not going to turn around to you and say my content's brilliant, it's perfect. I do the best I can with what I've got. I try to do different things. I try and make it as engaging as possible, and I want people to come watch it. I want people to enjoy it. And like I've said when I started this, it could be several years before the ball really starts rolling and people look at my Mass Effect series that I'm doing, or they look at the Horizon Zero Dawn. Or, the conspiracies and histories I've started another history episode, but it's taken so much time, and I've got a lot going on in my personal life that really dedicating the time to it is very, very, very difficult at the moment. But people will be drawn to different things. People will come to you for different things, and I want to engage with as many people as possible because I want to provide a channel, a place for everybody to be here. And this again, the podcast. And podcast takes up a lot of time. It takes a lot of planning. But I want it to be a place where you come to the channel for here, and you can say there's games and etc. There's podcasts, there's film clips, there's all these different things you could enjoy. Maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew. Maybe I have bitten off more than I can chew, and we can turn and we can say for 2026, what's the next step? What's the next plan? Where am I going to go? What is the overall goal? And sometimes I do think to myself, maybe just stick to games. Maybe I'll just stick to games and just leave it at that and stop doing everything else. But that's not really my goal. There are so many things that I enjoy that I want to share with you guys that I would love it if you guys just interact and let me know what you think. And even the people that left the negative comments, if you're seeing this and you left negative comments about that AI short that I made, fair play to you. I'm not here to moan. I'm not here to give you guys any grief. You don't like it, and feedback is good, whether it's good or bad. I think giving feedback is really important. And when they said AI slop, it's this, or one guy quite cleverly said, "Oh, I've got dinner with mum's made me dinner. It's a portion of AI slop." I did actually have a chuckle. I thought, it's not the best, but it's feedback, it's interaction, and it got loads, thousands of views. It was obviously quite popular. It obviously got thousands of views, and maybe everyone hated it. I don't know, but it was quite popular for what it was. But it's good feedback, and important in developing a channel and grow it is to listen to the people. Now, obviously, if I had thousands of people say the same thing, then I'd probably think, yeah, okay, that's definitely a problem. But a few people is not that much space on your subscriber count to really gauge on whether it's really liked or not. I suppose you could look at the likes. That's one way of telling, but kind of go off a tangent at the moment. But in general, it's moving on to my next stage about my social media. As my social media. So I would ask everyone to give me a follow on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook. I believe I'm on what's it called? That's got the old Threads. That's it, Threads. I'm on Threads as well, but I don't really use Threads too much. And I am on X, but I don't use that too much, which probably I should. But I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as Megaverse of Preston. It's got the same white dog with Preston on it, on all of them, so you can easily identify me. And I put all sorts of stuff on there. Yes, some AI stuff. I put some retro or nostalgic film clips, like the young ones and Bottom, etc. And if you're too young to know what that is, then based in the 90s sort of thing. But I put all sorts of clips on there, all sorts of bits and pieces to keep it different, keep it interesting. And I'd appreciate with all you guys out there that you look it up, drop me a follow, let me know what you like, and leave some comments what you see, so I know what to engage with and what people prefer. I think ironically I did I found the young ones clip within the University Challenge, and I put it up, and it was about when they started it and answering questions and all sorts of stuff. I don't know what it's at now. I think it's probably near 25,000 views. I mean, some people that's not a lot. In some cases, that's not a lot, but that's went out, and I've left it, and it's just comments on it. It's just getting quite popular. It's gone a bit viral. And there was, again, I mentioned before, I think it was Stray. There's a bit where the cat goes through the robot's legs and trips the robot over. I think that got over 250,000 views. It's crazy. It's pretty crazy. It's good. It's good, but it's crazy. Sometimes the simplest things can literally take off, and yeah. We'll see, but yeah, drop me some follows, drop me some support. It'd be great, and I aim to help out as many people as I can. Obviously you can't be everywhere at once, but I try and help people. I try to support people. There's a couple of others as well. Obviously on TikTok, I don't think this colleague has a YouTube channel, but he's called Madman Matt, and I think his little icon is a retro games console. The 80s, like they're playing on the arcades, they're playing on the machines. He's on TikTok. yeah, drop him a follow. He's a good friend of mine. Yeah, drop him a follow if you can. That'd be really good. I would link him obviously on the mentions, but I don't think he has a YouTube channel, so I can't really do that. But if I find a link for his TikTok, I'll drop it in the comments. In essence, that's really, as far as I can think of, about it. That's really about it. I'm okay. I'm gutted about Motorbike, obviously, but it's experience. I think it's important that I had. But I'm okay. It's fine. So maybe a bit out of that is okay. I've got a couple more series coming out in the future. I have delayed them massively because I've got other stuff I want to polish up first. I have got some other series that I've been pre-making for the future for the channel, games, which I think will be quite cool. And I've got a few other ideas that I want to do. There's a couple of games I want to play and start again. One of them's going to be Cyberpunk 2077. I love that game. I did that. I've nearly completed it once. I got right to the end, but for whatever reason I didn't really finish it, and I think if I remember correctly I got into the tower right at the end. You go to the corporate tower and you fight your way through there. I think I actually got to there, but for whatever reason I didn't finish it. I didn't get to the end. I didn't even fight there. I can't remember his name now. The one of the enemies you fight is all cyborg and that, and he's tough as hell. But the point I'm making is I'm going to be starting a new playthrough, and I want to modify it a lot. I love mods. Some of the mods out there are fantastic, so I'll be running a heavily modded game because I think some of the modders out there do a massively good job at adding content and flexibility to the game, and that also goes for Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is an old game, but there was a playthrough I was running. I wasn't rushing. I was actually just building myself up, getting my armor, getting my resources, and I didn't even start the main story. I got out the bunker and I started, just basically making settlements and exploring. I just abandoned the main story. I think I got a little bit where you go to the Crystal City or whatever it's called, and you go there. And I met a few people there. I spoke there. I got an apartment there, but I really was more focused on just adventure and looking around and exploring. And I had all these modern guns because I didn't really like the original guns in the game that much. I had always other modern guns and all these other modifications. It was absolutely amazing, but unfortunately what happened to me was I had a bug that popped up where in the base I had in my hometown, which was Sanctuary, which I actually would have made my HQ to build. I wanted to build this big base. I just couldn't build nothing. It wouldn't let me. It just wouldn't let me build. It just said nope, you're not building anything, which really sucked. And I spent a long time playing that game. I actually spent loads of time playing it, but I wouldn't mind doing another, maybe continuing where I left off because I haven't done the story yet, or if I have to restart, but we'll have the mods in place. Because I even think, I don't know if you guys may have suffered it, where what's that? Something where it's harbour. I can't remember what it's called. Some harbour. It's the DLC. You go harbour and you go along. I nearly had a bug where the floor didn't exist, and you had certain areas you could jump on, but if you the floor, you just fell through the floor. For whatever reason, it just didn't spawn in. The floor was not there, and you couldn't play. You just couldn't move around. You couldn't play, which was sad. But yeah, there's a few ideas I've got. There's a few things. The game's coming out that I've got that I want to play. I mean, for example, Starfield. I need to get on the Starfield. I haven't really had a chance to play Starfield yet. But that's another game that I need to complete. But I think I've got off into another tangent there. But anyway, guys, really appreciate your time. If you're still with me, really appreciate it. Watch this space. Love the support. Love all the help you guys are giving me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, big up. So respect to you all, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. So be good and look after yourselves.